Wagwan sports fans, welcome back to this or that Sports TV, the place you guys come to get the best, most interesting and everything sports topics, discussions and debates on the internet. But before I get into today's video, don't forget to like this one, leave a comment and subscribe to this or that Sports TV. But one more thing for me, and that's to share the video to at least 10 people, get us 6 subscribers, because if each and every one of you guys can manage to do that, do you know how many subscribers that would get us by the end of the day? Yes, people, and this is Player Radar, the show on this or that Sports TV, where we give weekly updates and have discussions about Reggae Boyz club performances, throughout the season. And this show is important to me because sometimes we forget about the man them game them, sometimes we don't watch the game them, sometimes we need an update. And really and truly, me never tell us I sit down here and I watch every Reggae Boy playing at every single match. So sometimes I need a quick update, sometimes it's a simple Google, sometimes it's a simple check the stats, see how them perform, see how them get graded, see how them teams are going. And so I think this show is important to give people again an update on their weekly performance. And so straight throughout the season, back to next summer, obviously on international breaks we will be giving Jamaican Reggae Boyz content, but during the season this show is going to be important to make sure it says if a goal score where I do a player radar, if a man get injured where I do a player radar, if a transfer go on where I do a player radar. You see me? But today's show very interesting, and people may want to interact with it. Let me know what you think in the comment section. But today's show is about 5 Reggae Boyz that need to have a good club season, and I'm going to attack it from a few different perspectives. Well, really 2 perspectives. Obviously, I'm going to talk about your personal. I don't know them aspirations, but I don't want to say just for personal reasons or their club career, and I'm also going to attack it from an international performance standpoint. In terms of Reggae Boyz, we have the World Cup come up, we have World Cup qualifiers that come up. But just say we have the World Cup come up like a qualifier for the World Cup. But hey, we have the World Cup come up. But more importantly, we have the World Cup qualifiers coming up. And so I think it is important that these 5 players that I'm about to talk about have good club seasons, so that eventually next year, next summer, they can perform well for the Reggae Boyz. What do you think about that? God, I don't like it. Anyways, let's get right into it. I'm not gonna make it a long video. I think 15 minutes somewhere around there would be perfect. So let me see if I can breeze through it. Alright, the first player that I'm going to talk about, the first Reggae Boy that needs to have a good club season, is no other than Leon Bailey. Why every time I talk about Leon Bailey, I chuckle? People, I don't know. Anyways, yeah, Leon Bailey. So, as I said, from 2 perspectives, the club perspective is the first one, and I think Leon Bailey, he has been underwhelming last year. Obviously, he's a very talented player, one of my favorite Reggae Boys, one of my favorite players to watch, period. Leon Bailey is a very, very good footballer, one of the best in CONCACAF. I think should be challenging to be the best in CONCACAF. Unfortunately, his performances haven't been putting him in the conversation, but I think that is the type of talent that we're talking about. And so I think in terms of from the club level, Leon Bailey needs to have a good season, because last season Aston Villa were in need of wingers to the point where they went out to find Marcus Rashford and Marco Asensio to come and fill that void. Leon Bailey wasn't providing. He was injured for some of the season, and then you're always fighting to come back from injury, losing your spot, trying to get back into the team. I understand all of that, but at the nature of the business, Leon Bailey did not have a good season for Aston Villa last year, and his best season, his best club season, is probably like 2 years away now at this point. And so, for his sake, he needs to have a good season. Now, obviously, there's been some rumors about Leon Bailey making a move to Saudi. I don't think that is the move. Obviously, I'm not going to tell a man say, oh, if somebody throw millions at you, don't take it. I would never do that, because me not going to throw no millions at you. You see it? But I think Leon Bailey have so much more to give to the game that I don't think it is a time to. I'm going to attack down on the Saudi League, because it is really coming, especially with what we saw those teams do in the Club World Cup. Those teams are coming. Those teams are building and getting those players. And not every player down there is on multi-million-dollar contracts. You see me? So they are building the league. They're getting the quality up. I understand. It's becoming a good league. Kudos to Cristiano Ronaldo and all those guys down there doing great things. But where Leon Bailey is concerned, I think Leon Bailey is a top talent in Europe, and I think he owes it to himself and to his talent to get the most out of it, especially in Europe, trying to get into the Champions League again, perform well in the Champions League, score goals, get assists, and be one of the top players in the world. I think Leon Bailey can get back to that point that he was at last year, and this is the point where he needs to do it. Leon Bailey is 28 years old now. He's coming to the back end of those 20s. creeping outside of his prime in a year or two. And so I think this year and next year is going to be very important for Liam Bailey. So again, I don't think it is time for Saudi, but if he makes the move to Saudi Arabia, then so be it. I don't think he needs to do that though. I think he stays at Aston Villa. I think he fights for his spot. And even if he doesn't stay at Aston Villa, make another move. I think Tottenham would love to have Liam Bailey. I think Manchester United would love to have Liam Bailey. I think Arsenal would love to have Liam Bailey. Enough clubs outside of England. If we talk about Inter Milan, they would love to have Liam Bailey. PSG would love to have Liam Bailey. I think Real Madrid would gladly accept Liam Bailey if the contract situation was right. Because he's a talented player and he's a player that a lot of clubs would like to bet on. So from the club perspective, Liam Bailey really needs to have a good season. As he was underwhelming last season. Even when he played for the Reggae Boyz, he wasn't special. He wasn't anything superb. But still very promising. Still, I'm not going to say a young player, but still in the middle of his prime. He's supposed to be playing his best football, but unfortunately he's not. Liam Bailey hasn't hit the heights that he's supposed to hit, unfortunately, but I still think there is some way that he should get. People, I'm not one of those people that say, oh, Liam Bailey is going to come good anymore. That was a conversation I was willing to have 4 or 5 years ago. I remember me and Joe were having the conversation before Liam Bailey. Well, not before, but I think maybe 5 games or 7 games into Liam Bailey Jamaican international career. And I was always saying Liam Bailey is going to come good. Liam Bailey is going to perform eventually. Liam Bailey, he has the ability. What he's going to do it. No, I'm really at the point of saying Liam Bailey is what he is. He is what he is. This is the type of player that we're getting. He's a player that is going to be inconsistent in the black, green, and gold. He's a very dangerous player. He's going to attack a lot of attention to him, and he's going to put in average to good performance for Jamaica. He's never going to give us a great performance, and I guess we have to be okay with that at the moment. If Liam Bailey wants to show us something else, please do. I'll gladly accept it. But at this moment, Liam Bailey needs to put in a good club performance for himself and for his club. Now, from the international side of things, I think we need Liam Bailey, not for the World Cup qualifiers, but I think for the World Cup. I think Jamaica is in a position where we will make it to the World Cup regardless of how we play in World Cup qualifiers. I think if we play 2, 4, 6, if we play 6 bad games if we play 6 average games in the next round of World Cup qualifiers, we're still going to make it to the World Cup. That's how confident I am about Jamaica making it to the World Cup next year. No, my attention is now being turned towards how well do we perform in the World Cup, and that is about pushing to get out of the group. And if we want to do that, I think Liam Bailey is going to be integral in that. I think we need to have dangerous wingers, we need to have dangerous attackers that can score goals. And if Liam Bailey is having a good club season, I think he can transfer that and put that over into the international career and have a good World Cup qualifying campaign in the back end of the year for us. Now, I'm not going to talk about the personal issues. I don't care about that. It is a man's personal life. Focus on the pitch. Get it done when it needs to get done. Have a good club season and come and have a good international season for Jamaica. Liam Bailey is going to help us to make it to the World Cup, and Liam Bailey needs to have a good performance in the World Cup for us to get to our goal, which I believe should be making it out of this group. I don't think I left anything else to be said about Liam Bailey. Again, needs to have a good club season for Aston Villa or whichever club he's going to play for. The next player I'm going to mention, which is the next reggae boy that needs to have a good club season. And I'm going to stay on the Phoenix men. I'm talking about no other than Djon Richards. People, this one got quiet for a bit. Obviously, we understand that the young man had an injury that he was carrying from Manning Cup that he picked up. He was being rough out. He didn't play a lot of games. People don't know we covered the Manning Cup the comprehensively, so we know everything we're going to Whisper. In terms of from the Manning Cup up until the move to Chelsea. After that, things got a bit quiet. We get some things here, we get some things there. But where Whisper is concerned, the last I heard was that he was obviously watch the game now. I'll see what he might do for Chelsea under the U23s. But he picked up an injury, played on the injury got worse, did a surgery last summer, and so Djon Richards hasn't played competitive football for 12 months or more. What does that mean? He had a knee injury, he did surgery. What does that mean? We don't see him kick a ball, we don't know how well him be, we don't know if him still have him pace, we don't know if him still have him power, we don't know any of that. No, mark you, Djon Richards is a very, very young man. I don't even think Whisper is 21 years old yet. I think he's maybe 20 years old. So he's a very, very young man. I'm expecting him to come back and do well. But I'm attacking this from the perspective of what do we expect from him in terms of playing for the national team. Before we even get to the national team, where does he stand in terms of this Chelsea team. Obviously, he was signed, and I can tell you that the proposal that was made to Phoenix and to Whisper was that he's going to be an important player in the future. They're going to give him his opportunities. They're going to build him. They're going to get him to the point where he will play competitive football for Chelsea at the senior level. No, he was well on his way to doing that. In fact, I think if he didn't pick up that injury, he would have gotten some runs out, maybe in the cup competitions or whatever. He would have played, in competitive football for Chelsea to this point. And so I think that was abruptly stopped by injury. But if that is still the plan, Whisper is going to need a good season. He's going to have to perform well for Chelsea. Maybe he starts at U23s again, maybe he goes to U21, but eventually we need to see him playing some senior football. Because the truth is, I don't think we have space anymore for players that are not performing at the senior level. No, when Whisper was 18 years old, I was saying that Whisper is going to be important for us in the future, so we need to keep him around the program, keep him in the program. And the truth is, I really thought that Whisper was better than some of the senior pros that we were calling up. But I think Whisper is at a point right now where if he doesn't perform well at the club level, he just doesn't get called up for the Reggae Boyz. That's just I see it. That's the way I see it. Let me know if I'm wrong for that. Let me know if you still a pre-Whisper as a protege or a young player that's coming up on need for having me in and around the fold. That's not how I see him anymore. I think he needs to perform. I think he needs to have a good club season, and that is the only way that he's going to make it into this Jamaica Senior Men's National Team for World Cup qualifiers and for the World Cup team. I think he will be able to do it. I still think Whisper is going to be one of the best Jamaican players ever, because that is the type of talent that this player has. I think he's going to be a top professional. I think he's going to score a lot of goals and get a lot of assists. And I think Liam Bailey is going to be, you see all of the pressure we'll put on you think all the pressure we'll put on Leon? I think that is what Whisper is going to be. Watch the joke. Watch what happen. But anyways, let's transition a little bit from the club side to the international side. I think Whisper is, if fit, and having a good club season, based on the talent of me think this kid have, and how I think he's going to perform when he's back. I think he makes it into the starting lineup. Ideally, I don't want to see him on the right side, but hey, I don't mind seeing him on the left side. I don't mind seeing him as a centre forward. I think he wants it. I think he was born for it. I think he's so hungry at this moment that he will be able to perform for the Reggae Boyz, and I think I want him in the squad. But again, to have him in the squad, he needs to have a good club performance, and that is Djon Richards. The second player that needs to have a really good club performance, and that good club performance will take him to the Jamaica Senior Men's National Team. The third player that I'm going to mention that needs to have a good club season is Shamanikas. People want to see what going with Shamanikas. I think Shamanikas, again, top player. Top 5 Reggae Boy for me in terms of favorite Reggae Boys. Shamanikas is one of my favorite Reggae Boys. I think Shamanikas is one of the players in this team that is the heart and soul of the team. He is what it means. Shamanikas and his performances is exactly what it means to represent Jamaica. Whenever I watch Shamanikas and some other players, some Damien Lowe, Andre Blake, and some of those players play for Jamaica, I feel like they're representing me. I can't say that about everybody, but that is not the point of this video. Shamanikas is the heart of this team, but not only is he the heart and soul of this team, he is a top footballer. But the truth is, Shamanikas' career hasn't gone the way how I thought it would have gone. Now, when Shamanikas was down there in Belgium having a top season, he made a move to Russia, which I think hurt his career. The second half of the season where he made the transfer, he was playing some football, he was scoring some goals and stuff. But after that, I think it was the Ukraine-Russia war gone, and so things get shut down, the league get cancelled, them get kicked out of the Champions League, blah blah blah. He literally went to Russia at the worst time possible. You see me, it was not good for his club career, and so I think that kind of caused him to, his performances dipped. He fell out of favour in the team. They signed other forwards. They moved on from Shamanikas. They loaned him out to go to France. He didn't have a great season in France. Scored a few goals, got a few assists here and there, but he didn't have a good season. He was just trying to find back his form. Now, in January, Shamanikas made a move to Club Tijuana in Mexico, in the Liga MX, and I think, I don't hate the move, but I don't love the move. I'm not one of those people that think that the only good league in the world is the English Premier League. You know, the Mexican league is one of the best leagues in the world. I think it's a top 10 league in the world. Somebody fact check me and tell me that in the comment section. So I think the Shamanikas move is a decent move. I'm not gonna say I love it, but I'm not gonna say I hate it. It is an alright move, and I think he can use this move as a platform to get back to the places where he wants to really wants to be, or ultimately to finish his career in a respectable way. And I don't say finish to mean that Shamanikas is anywhere close to the end of his career. Shamanikas is somewhere around that 30 mark, if I'm not mistaken. But that move to Russia kind of hurt his career, and I think that move should have gone somewhere else, somewhere in a top 5 league that can really push his career forward and cement him as one of the best strikers in CONCACAF. And he missed that opportunity. But down there in top club to go on, the league already started. I see that you see that the league already started, or he's playing preseason, not sure. But I see that Shamanikas is actually playing in that team. He's a very important player for them. And I want him to have a top season. I want him to score goals. I want him to be the top goal scorer in that league. Club Tiguana is actually one of the best teams in Liga MX, and I think Shamanikas, being the striker for one of the best teams in the competition, can actually catapult him to gain in favor and coming back into the national team. No. I was listening to Oral Tracy's show the other day on the radio, and he mentioned that he spoke to Steve McLaren before the Gold Cup, and Steve McLaren said, yo, look out, a very important player is going to be dropped. And me hear Oral say, yo, him not see nobody get dropped, him not see never. And I was looking into it, and I said, oh, Shamanikas didn't make it. And the excuse that Steve McLaren gave about not calling Shamanikas, about him not being match fit and all of that madness, was just so stupid to me, because the same reason should have applied to Michel Antonio, who was actually coming from a car crash. Yes, he was training, yes, he was getting back fit, yes, he was recovering and all of that. But how can he be more match sharp or match ready than Shamanikas, who was actually playing football? Yes, his season finished a couple months ago, but he was still playing football and training and getting up to scratch. So I think that was the high-profile player that was excluded from the squad. Now, what does Shamanikas' Reggae Boyz career look like? I think Shamanikas is still a very important player for us, especially with the inclusion now of a Mason Greenwood and a Nick. I think Whisper is going to come back. I think Michel Antonio is going to have some favor from Steve McLaren. Where does this put him? I think he can still be a very important player. But you're going to need to perform at the club level. You're going to need people going past 15 minutes. I'm so sorry. I wanted this to be a short video. But you're going to need to have a really good season. It not really. I think Shamanikas call up as sure as it used to be. And I don't think it's as sure as I want it to be. And I don't think it's as sure as he wants it to be. Or you guys want it to be. So tell me if you don't agree with me. Shamanikas really need to have a good club season, because I believe that, I don't know if Steve McLaren is phasing him out or he just punish him for something. But the reason that Steve McLaren gave about excluding him from the Gold Cup squad was just so absurd to me, and it shouldn't have happened, that I think there is something up. Now, Shamanikas, get it together, have a good season, get called up in the September window, have a good performance whenever you get opportunities. But even though I think we're getting Mason Greenwood and all of those players are still coming back, I still believe that Shamanikas is important to this Reggae Boyz team. People, don't forget what Shamanikas caused the team to do in Canada in BMO Field. Don't forget it when we made that comeback against Canada in the Nations League. Don't forget it, people. So, yeah, that. Shamanika is there. So I say Leon, Whisper, Shamanikas. That's the third player. The fourth player that I think needs to have a good season at the club level and for the Reggae Boyz is Isaac Hayden. People probably wonder, say, why do you think Isaac Hayden needs to have a good season? Him spot showing a national team. Yes, although his spot is showing the national team, him playing well for the national team is also important. I've meant that. No, Isaac Hayden kind of fall out of favor at Newcastle. I think he's still a Newcastle player. I want to fact check me on that. But last season he got loaned out to Portsmouth in the championship. I think he played somewhere like 15 or 20 games in the championship. Had some starts, battled with injury a bit. And so him need to have a good season. And that last part that I mentioned, him being injured, is also very important for us as Reggae Boyz. But even for him, he needs to stay fit. He needs to get himself up to playing top football again, because Isaac Hayden is a really, really good footballer. And I won't say he's an old man, but at the same time, his football is suggesting that he's an old man, especially at the club level. He's not getting consistent play. He's not playing at the top level anymore. Mercury Championship is still a high level, but he's not playing in the Premier League where he once was, and he's not at his prime. He's not at his peak. And so I believe that in order to get the best out of him at the international level, he needs to get that practice. He needs to get a consistent season going for whether he goes back to Portsmouth on another loan, or he goes back to Newcastle and be a rotation piece or whatever. Because Newcastle probably have to go sell some player now. He needs to get a level of consistency going, and then use that level of consistency and transition it to the Jamaica senior men's national team. And so that midfield spot, this midfield spot in this Reggae Boyz team is crying out for someone to grab it by the scruff of the neck and just pull the team along with them. We need it. And so we saw a glimpse in the first Guatemala game that we played in the World Cup qualifiers, where Isaac Hayden was the star of the show. He was running the show, control the tempo of the game, control the pressing, control the defensive line, control the midfield line. He was just keeping everything ticking over. And so we want to see more of that, but he has been very inconsistent. Yeah, Mark Hugh hasn't played a lot of games for the national team, but what we've seen from him are some good games, some bad games, some so-so games. And so I think in order to have a top Isaac Hayden in the national team for World Cup qualifiers, and in the national team when we eventually make it to the World Cup and try to exit the group, we need to see him have a good club season. Let me know if you agree with that. So that's a fourth player. 4 again, people, that needs to have a good club season. Liam Bailey, Djon Richards, Shamanikas, Isaac Hayden, and the last player I'm going to talk about, the last he don't cast. The last player I'm going to talk about, the last player I'm going to talk about, people, pardon me, my phone dropped. I'm going to think I'm going to cut this out of the video just so it go. The last player I'm going to talk about is Michel Antonio. Michel Antonio. No, people, I have probably controversial views on Michel Antonio. I think Michel Antonio is a good footballer, but I don't think Michel Antonio is good enough to be a major contributor to this Reggae Boyz team anymore. I think Michel Antonio is past his prime, he's past his best, and I also think Michel Antonio is going to have a hard time recovering from that injury in terms of football wise. Yes, he's fit again. Yes, I saw him in the Gold Cup, but I can tell you I was not impressed by what I saw from Michel Antonio in the Gold Cup. Michel Antonio just looked like a big wild tracksman trying to play football. Honestly, Michel Antonio looked like a discus thrower trying to play football. Michel Antonio looked like a rugby player, NFL player trying to play football. Me not have much more in terms of tactics or no. Me not have nothing for telling you. Michel Antonio just don't look like a proper technical footballer anymore. I don't know why. And it's not that was ever his type of game. Michel Antonio was never the clean-cut, finesse type of player. He was always a rugged, bully type of player. But it just looks so much worse. It just like him can't pass anymore. The running look off. The shot taking look off. The ingenuity that we saw when he just came into the national team look off. And so him now have a shooting spot for me. No, I think he's going to get favour from Steve McLaren. Steve McLaren, you know, love his English boys. But for me, if I was selecting this squad, Michel Antonio would not be the first name on the paper. And he would be fighting for a spot at the 26th spot, if you ask me. Isn't it? Honestly, if you ask me if I want a Whisper or a Michel Antonio up front right now, I'm going to take a Whisper, bro. All being if Whisper is fit and whatever. Both of them are come back from injury. Both of them not playing no competitive football in a while, outside of what he did in the Gold Cup. And so if you ask me, those players like that would be ahead of him. Kaim Dixon would be ahead of him. You see me? So that's as far as that go. So I think Michel Antonio needs to have a good club season. For himself too. I think everything I check said that he's a free agent, but him still have West Ham in his bio. And I still think he's a West Ham player. But he needs to have a good season, whether it is in the Premier League, in the Championship, wherever he goes to play. Michel Antonio needs to have a good season for himself to get himself back up to good standards, and for the Jamaica senior men's national team in order to make that team. That is it, people. Oh my God, 25 minutes. Oh my God. Anyways, people, I'm not gonna draw it out much longer. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I never want to make it super long. I want to make it digestible and make sure you enjoy what I'm going. You see me? Tell me if you like this type of content. Tell me if you like the show Player Radar. This is where we give week updates on Reggae Boyz and have discussions about their club performances throughout the season. People like that, if you like the video, don't forget to like the video, leave a comment, subscribe to this side at Sports TV. And one more thing for me, and that's to share the video to at least 10 people get to 6 subscribers. Because if each and every one of you guys can manage to do that, do you know how many subscribers that would get us by the end of that day? But for now, this was this side at Sports TV. I gone.